This week, I wanted to talk about those yellow-green shrubs, trees, perennials, annuals that I like to put in combination with all the purple leaf plants and purple flowering plants that are in my yard. So we're going to walk around, we're going to look at all those different ones. I have one or two that aren't in my yard that I will tell you. So let me just make a little caveat. I shot the entire video and for some reason my microphone wasn't working. So I'm going to have to voice over all the individual plants that I talked about. So at least you're not going to see me moving my lips and not hearing what I'm saying. So I apologize in advance. Also, I wanted to ask all you gardeners out there, I'm having a terrible, terrible time this year with rabbits and voles. We have tried every possible thing to get rid of them, whether it's trapping or, repellents, spraying, nothing is helping. And the rabbits are really doing a lot of damage. I'm now having to we're making cages like around my dahlias and around some of my plants like coneflowers. They're even eating some shrubs. I have a lot of damage. I'm open to suggestions. Please send them my way. And as usual, please subscribe, hit that like button. Feel free to ask me any questions. And I love your comments. So please feel free. And let's take a walk around the garden. Gardens are a celebration of the cycle of life. Who doesn't look forward to those early spring blooms popping through the snow? Your garden will be more interesting with different shapes and textures of plants, trees, and shrubs, as well as variegated and colored leaves. A garden should have tall, spiky plants for height and structure, focal point blooms to anchor your beds, and fillers to add depth, color, and texture. When you contrast plant forms, you add interest, and you break up what might be a flat, boring mix of greenery. You can create different moods, choose plants that differ in color tone, and be ready to break the rules. Don't feel tied down. Be free and experiment. If it doesn't work, you'll move it. Don't let the size of your yard restrict you from experimenting with color. If a combination you planted seems overpowering, just add white and green to lighten it up. Don't forget, green's a color. And the foliage should always be considered in your design, especially shrub foliage, as there are many leaf shapes and colors to consider. Leaves can be glossy or matte, and that can add a different effect to your garden beds too. I love color, and I don't limit myself extremely, but I definitely play favorites. I lean heavily on the near complementary colors of purple and yellow-green, which are basically opposite on the color wheel. Purple and yellow are complete opposites. Green itself is the framework for the garden with all its shades and variations. Next, I look to scale and texture to add depth and diversity. Really dark foliage can be used to highlight and add contrast to other plants, or to keep the spotlight for themselves, for example, like Queen of the Night tulips or heuchera, blackout, or ninebark diablo. So let's explore my garden to see how I employ these principles. First up is Spyrea Gold Mound. It's zone 4 through 8. Has these great little medium pink flower heads that start about mid-June, full sun, medium water. Butterflies love them. It's deer resistant, doesn't mind clay soil, which is great for me. It's a pretty dense, upright, mounded, deciduous shrub, and it grows like 4 to 6 feet tall, or it can grow 4 to 6 feet tall. Typically it's 3 by 4 is a little more like it, but it's covered in this bright yellow golden foliage in the spring, but it turns to that gold green as the summer progresses. And in the fall you get that really pretty yellow, oranges, and reds. In this bed, I also have Sun King Aurelia, Japanese spikenard, part shade to shade, gets 3 by 3 with this yellow-green color also. And I also have some Brunnera, Diana's Gold, I think is what this one is called, and it had a pretty purple flower on it in the spring. The Aurelia is zone 3 through 9. So some other things that I have it paired with here to pop that bright yellow-green color in the spring. Without a doubt, my absolute favorite tree on my property is this Metasequoia Gold Rush Dawn Redwood. In 20 years, it gets about 50 feet tall and 20 feet wide, but eventually full size can actually get to between 70 and 100 feet tall. It's got this feathery, fern-like foliage. It's so soft to the touch. The foliage emerges this beautiful light green in the spring, and it matures to a deeper green in the summer, and then it turns a red bronze in the fall. I absolutely love this tree. Full sun, zone 5 through 9, tolerates clay soil and deer. Love it. What I absolutely love is that I can see this tree from everywhere on my property. It just draws you out to the back. It's a favorite. As we walk to the back of my garden, you can see Hosta Francis Williams, zone 3 through 8, gets 2 by 5, blooms June and July with a white flower, part shade to full shade. Hummingbirds love it. It's got that really thick, puckered blue leaf with that yellow-green margin around it. So pretty, so pretty. So Francis Williams can literally spread over time to like 4 by 5 feet wide. It makes such a beautiful clump in a shade garden. Next, moving over here, we see Shadowland Autumn Frost, zone 3 through 9, gets 1 by 2, and it's got those frosty blue leaves with extra wide, bright yellow margins. The margins actually lighten to a creamy white as the season goes on, with a light lavender flower that's produced in the summer. And then coming over here, I also have a hosta called June. So June has very distinctive gold leaves with that striking blue-green margin, very heavy, substantial foliage. It resists slug damage, stands out in lightly shaded beds, zone 3 through 8, filtered partial sun. So walking over this way, I have some new hostas called Brother Stefan. It's a really beautiful large hosta with a moderate growth rate, with that heavy, thick, corrugated, puckered leaf that's green with that brilliant gold center, exhibits some slug resistance supposedly, has a nice white flower in the late spring, early summer, zone 3 through 9, but beautiful variegated foliage. I have it here in front of Double Play Big Bang Spyrea, zone 3 through 8. I've moved these from another spot on my property. They get 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. They're adaptable to most soils. You fertilize them in the spring. And in the fall, well, actually in the spring, they emerge as a really pretty orange foliage. And then it turns that lime green with huge pink flowers. Of all the spireas, this one has like some of the biggest, pinkest flowers of any of the Japanese spireas. And the new growth is just so pretty in the springtime. It's drought tolerant, deer resistant, and even grows in partial shade and makes a nice, neat shrub. Look at that gorgeous orangey color on the new growth there. I love this. And they're doing really well since I transplanted them. They were really getting gangly in the spot that I had them. So this is Spyrea Double Play Big Bang. When we go over to this bed, one of my new beds here, this is Winecraft Gold Smoke Bush from Proven Winners, zone 5 through 8. Can get 6 feet tall and 6 feet wide. I think mine is struggling a little bit here. It gets that wispy smoke-like flower in the early summer that starts green and changes to pink, but the leaves come out with that glowing gold, and it does age to a brighter chartreuse. Like I said, it looks like it's struggling a little bit. It hasn't grown very much, but I'm also having trouble with rabbits and voles. So who the hell knows? You can see here they're eating my aronia. Like, yeah, every time I turn around, they're eating something else. So they ate the bottom of the sweet peas. I'm just fighting battles everywhere I turn right now. I can't stand it. I also added in this bed some Cryptomeria Japanese cedars, zone 5 through 7, full to partial sun. I have it here next to a black lace elderberry and behind a hydrangea in Vincible Spirit 2. And it's got a really finely textured foliage. And that breaks up the bold effect of those large leaf plants. The foliage gets dark rusty red in winter. You can use it, as a single specimen or whatever. Here you can see a close-up of the foliage, so it provides a really nice different texture than the elderberry, than the hydrangea, and contrasts the coloring. Really pretty. I had birds making a nest in one of them, and I couldn't bear to do any trimming on it, but I have it next to some grasses, like I said, and some hydrangeas also in this bed for contrast of color and texture. And who doesn't love Lady's Mantle? Alchemilla mollis, zone 3 through 8, makes a great little cut flower, blooms in June. Typically, rabbits and deer leave it alone, but the little chartreuse flowers over the green, soft, hairy leaves, and those leaves just hold on to moisture after it rains, which seems to be a very attractive feature for it. It can be a little bit of a self-seeder. Here I have it kind of spreading over the heuchera, kind of taking over the hosta, and you can see the 9 barks in the back. It's pretty aggressive. I'm finding it in different parts of my flower bed, but I love Lady's Mantle. I think most people do. It just makes a great, I'll almost call it a ground cover. Then as we walk over here, I have some Hacanacloa. This is Aureola, that yellow-green, and I also have all gold. So they're zone 5 through 9. They usually get 1.5 by 1.5 feet tall or whatever. Really pretty variegation that really draws your eye around. This is Juniper Gold Cone, very common juniper, evergreen, zone 5 through 7, gets like 5 feet tall, 2 feet wide. We've had some winter damage on this one this year. It doesn't flower, likes full sun. It is deer resistant or tolerant, but it provides a nice winter interest. Narrow, columnar, evergreen shrub. But its new foliage is that yellow golden color, and that's why I've included it here. I mean, it's really pretty, and it contrasts nice with the hydrangea here next to it. You have the tiny little ferny leaves. You have the grasses next to it. You have the cone flowers and the hydrangeas. So everything textured-wise is a little bit different and different colored. And then right next to it, you have Lysa Maca, Creeping Jenny. It's almost a shockingly yellow green color. It starts out green and it gets yellower and has a little yellow flower that also develops. Zone 3 through 10, so it is a perennial. It's a ground cover for sure, and I have it in several areas of my garden. Here you can see a close-up of the little yellow flowers. And I still have more spireas to show you. So this one is Magic Carpet. Zone 3 through 8, bright pink blooms, great fall color, attracts butterflies, resists deer. You can remove the faded flowers, which will encourage some new bloom. It blooms on new wood, so you want to prune it in the late winter, early spring. I have it in front of the oak leaf hydrangeas here. Those little tiny peak flowers, like flat top clusters of flowers. Again, some intermittent repeat bloom. I actually do have to cut mine down because otherwise they take over for the oak leaf hydrangeas and you can't even see them. So new to me this year is elderberry lemony lace. So I'm trying this in a container where my black lace elderberry is in the ground, zone 4 through 7. Gets about 7 feet tall and wide at its max. You're going to prune it after it flowers. It does get some foliage flowers in the springtime, and it is deer resistant, so I'm going to try it and see how that works. And I really love this fern-like foliage. Provides a nice contrast to the rock wall it's sitting next to. So here you can see lemon coral sedum in this bed. This is an annual. I have it in front of a Cotinus Winecraft Black. It looks like the foliage would be really tough and prickly, but it's actually really soft. And it's a great ground cover, but you can also put it in a container. It gets like 10 inches high, 14 inches wide. I have it, like I said, in this bed to provide the contrast with the Winecraft Black Cotinus, with some other annuals and other perennials, daylilies, something to provide that, again, the yellow-green to contrast with a lot of the purple and the dark leaf plants I have. So I'm not even sure if you can see this. Sedum Angelina, zone 5 through 8 is another really nice ground cover. It's kind of hidden inside here with my blackberry lilies and stuff. But again, rabbit and deer resistant. So I have some more Japanese forest grass, Hakanacloa aureola. And in this bed, I've planted a couple of more. I also have some hosta. Behind it, a couple different ones, but the yellow-green one is August Moon back there, part shade to full shade, zone 3 through 8. Hummingbirds love it, and I have in front of it, I have some different heucheras, again with the purple with the dark leaves. So I have that contrast and the clethra next to it. So I have several different cypresses, false cypresses. This one, soft serve gold, has great color, provides great color even in the wintertime. Zones 4 through 8, sun to part shade, deer resistant. This gets 6 to 10 feet tall, about 5 to 6 feet wide. You're going to prune it in the spring, and it's a really specimen type of plant, sun or part shade. So this Cypress is called Compact Fern Spray, zone 4 through 8, full sun to part shade, evergreen obviously, so provides lots of winter interest. It's got that almost horizontal branching, but the foliage does turn kind of brown in the wintertime, with some little cones on it. Nothing super significant, but a really pretty evergreen conifer. So this Cypress, I have a couple, is lemon thread branch cypress. Very common. You see it probably at every Home Depot. Zone 4 through 8, gets like 5 feet tall, 4 feet wide. Another evergreen with great winter interest. It's got that whip, that like cord-like branch. Airy and ferny. Again, nice texture here against my daylilies and against my black-eyed Susans, and nice contrast to the Abies concolor that I have right behind it, which is blue, and the morning light grasses. Also, to complement those things, I have heuchera, lime marmalade, and some 9-barks in here. So this is lime marmalade, like I just said. Heuchera, zone 4 through 8, full sun to partial shade. I think mine is getting a little bit too much sun. It needs more water when it's in the full sun. I have it to contrast here, you know, with the daylilies and with the Cypress. But it's got that ruffled lime green leaf. And it really does provide good color all season long, a nice little clump. It's a little bit, basically 1.5 by 2. I also have Dolce Apple Twist, which gets like 10 to 12 inches tall or whatever. Zone 4 through 9, really pretty leaves with a red veining as they emerge, but that chartreuse yellow-green, I have it in front of some 9-barks, so you have the nice contrast of the red and the green. Moving back to the other bed, you can see the Newly Noir Coleuses, the Supertunia Latte, but I also have in here now Tiny Wine Gold. This is a Physocarpus, a 9-bark with that small foliage. It's got some white pink flowers in the late spring. It's a bit smaller than your average 9-bark, but easy care, gold new growth, which is really colorful all season. But like I said, it's shorter than some of the other ones. Disease resistant. I also have Festivus Gold 9-bark, and this one is zone 3 through 7. It gets 3 to 4 feet tall. Prune it after flowering, fertilize in the spring, and you can see I have it here with daylilies. I have a small pine next to it, some daisies, and a very unusual shrub to the right called a Wickstromia that's going to get a very tiny little yellow flower that I'll show you when it blooms. So for sure you've heard me talk about this Japanese maple called Koto no Ito, Acer palmatum, hardy in zone 5 through 9. And it's got interest all spring, summer, fall. It turns beautiful colors in the fall. It gets like 10 feet high, 10 feet wide. Doesn't mind clay soil, which is great for me. And a really pretty ferny, strappy-like little leaves, just so pretty, densely branched, upright, very rounded habit, full sun to part shade. It's a really nice specimen plant, and I love that from this area you can see all the way to the back to the dawn redwood. It just, the yellow green just draws your eye all the way back there. And the colors keep going. And of course, this was my purple bed, so you have all that purple nepeta and alliums in there with it. I think it's easy to see as we walk around how I've used purple and that yellow green to really draw your eye from one bed to the next. In this little bed here, I have more creeping Jenny. You can see the Cypress in the background. As we walk down this side of the garage, we have this beautiful Acer. This is called Golden Full Moon Maple. Gets like 10 by 7, sun to part shade. And it's beautiful with its beautiful serrated leaf. And then as you keep walking around, you're drawn again from bed to bed with the yellow-green colors, whether it's the hostas, the Cypress, or just annuals in containers. Anything can provide that color. And I've saved the best for last. My favorite is Spyrea Ogon. My favorite of all the Spireas, zone 4 through 8, gets like 5 by 5, loves full sun. In the spring, it has beautiful little white, it's just covered with white flowers, but it's a really pretty golden leaf variety. Very willow-like kind of leaves, kind of like toothy kind of. And it has that really pretty spring foliage, yellow, and it gets really chartreusey green as the season goes on. It's the highlight of the front of my yard. And, you can see, again, here we are, we're walking down the path, and we can see color in the distance. We have the reds, the purples. You can make these colors with all kinds of trees, shrubs, plants, coleuses, come in different varieties that combine the yellow, green, and the purple. You have drops of Juniper, which is an ornamental oregano, zone 4 through 9. You have miscanthus grass, little zebra. You have mock orange, Philadelphus. You have sage that has the variegated anything. There's so many things that you can choose from. So let your mind just go wild. I hope you found this information interesting and valuable, and leave your comments, please. Enjoy.